life in the flame. What's the commitment of those who have died? When we cried out, they've not died in vain. We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears.
Thank you, Lanny.
A lot of people are clapping.
Don't go far. You may be asked to come back. Thank you. You'll get double pay. Rabbi Eisenberg, we're now being recorded, just so you all know. Do you want to do the candles now? Do you want to do them later?
We've already lit our own candles, so if anybody else wants to do that, that's fine.
Okay.
Or you can just go ahead with the program, Carol. Up to you.
Do I have a volunteer to light the candles and say the blessings, or have you all done it already? Okay, that'll take care of that for tonight. All right, so let me tell you where we're going tonight. I hope that you all have an up-to-date passport, because we're going to Colombia. And just for the record, my name is Carol Weinshell. I'm the Vice President of Program and Membership at Rodeph Sholom in Bridgeport. And I tell you that in the event that the recording works, we should know what this is all about. This is night 3 of Hanukkah around the world, and I think it's our 4th year traveling. So with any luck at all, I'm going to share my screen, and we're boarding a plane, and we're going to Colombia in South America. So just give me a minute till I get there. Takes a while to get there. So this is a map of Colombia, just so you have some idea as to the geography, and you will see it again. I want you to pay special attention to these 2 arrows, one the Magdalena River, and one over here where it says Santa Marta, and over here where it says Barranquilla. Okay, so the history of Jews in Colombia is kind of interesting, I thought. In the 16th and 17th centuries, the first Jews arrived, and they were called New Christians. They practiced in secret. They were forced to convert to Catholicism, and some did try to practice their traditions, but everything they did, they had to do in secret. In the 18th century, the Spanish and Portuguese Jews arrived from Jamaica and Curacao during English and Dutch rule, when they began to practice outwardly. Now, I want you to look over here. I've got to try to move this. If I can move this out of the way. Okay. You see where Curacao is over here? If you follow the red arrow, it takes you to Colombia. Doesn't take you any place in particular. I just wanted you to see the distance. And then in 1810, Colombia gained independence, and the Jews practiced legally under Simon Bolivar. In 1929, there were less than 200 Jews in Bogota. They founded the Israelite Center of Bogota, a burial society, a school, and communal organizations. Burial societies were very important, as were cemeteries. So those seemed to be one of the, or a few of the very first things that people who settled did. In the 1940s, German Jews arrived. In the 1950s, Jews from Aleppo, Syria, Egypt, Turkey, and Greece, and that became the Sephardic Hebrew community of Bogota. In the 1990s, there was a decrease in population. There was a downturn in economy. There was an issue with safety. There were problems with kidnapping. There was a great exodus to Miami, Costa Rica, and Israel. Today, curiously, Venezuelan Jews seek refuge in Colombia. So I want you to notice this man who I have an arrow pointing to, Rabbi Mejia. He was Catholic and he made the journey to being an Orthodox Jewish rabbi. This prayer book, well, I'll get back to that. So Rabbi Mejia lived in Oklahoma City. He split his time between Santa Marta and Barranquilla. He works with emerging communities throughout the world with a program in every tongue that was founded in San Francisco. Curiously, he was trusted by the community, not that he was trusted, but the reason that he came into the picture was there was a scandal when a former rabbi took money for conversions and didn't follow through. So Rabbi Mejia really gained the trust of the people in Colombia. He was very successful with conversions, including his own. And while he wasn't really considering it, his community convinced him to convert. So he went from Catholicism to Protestantism to Judaism. He took quite a journey to become Jewish. And this prayer book that you see up here at Shirat Hayam is the prayer book that he wrote. So today, at least somewhat, it's hard to find current information, but within the last 10 years, I was able to find that there were 4 major communities, predominantly Orthodox, little issue of intermarriage. And the communities were Barranquilla, Santa Marta, Bogota, and Belo. And we're going to see the first 2 as we go. Santa Marta, Shirat Hayam, Santa Marta was right on the water. So they had a natural beach and a natural place for the mikveh, as you can see. With a strong desire to practice Judaism, the congregants overcame a host of obstacles and they used the shoreline to their advantage. It was a very expensive tourist town, and so the congregation moved from living rooms to shoreline, and when the size decreased, they went back to living rooms. They were isolated and not permanently located. They had an Israeli marine biologist who lived in Santa Marta, and he helped with the prayers, with the teaching, with teaching the children Israeli and Jewish songs. Services were the constant. All congregants, or I should say congregants, are all converts. So you can look at it either way. All congregants were converts. Congregants were all converts. It was very diverse as far as work that the people did. This was downtown Santa Marta. It looks like what we might know from people who have visited it in the Caribbean, what an island town looks like. Now, Barranquilla, which is over here right at the end of the Magdalena River, the river was known as Naharia, the river of God. and that joins the Caribbean Sea at Barranquilla. The congregation was called Congregation Javura Naharia. So this is a picture of downtown here, Barranquilla. It was a long-standing community. Again, they met in people's homes and then rented space. It's a larger town, if you will, than Santa Marta. It had the oldest congregation and the oldest Jewish cemetery in Colombia. Again, the focus on the cemetery. It's a very diverse community. Middle Eastern immigrants from Syria and Lebanon, refuge for Sephardic Jews fleeing Europe in World War I, a refuge for Ashkenazi Jews escaping Hitler in 1933. And now there are Caribbean Jews with a totally new identity, neither Ashkenazi or Sephardic. And you see, I put the arrow because what they became was New Judaism in climate, gastronomy, and music. So they were definitely Jewish, but they had different traditions. They leaned more towards Caribbean culture. So here's some pictures. This is the youth group. Here is Shabbat, this family, mother and father with kids, services, and again, Shabbat with the Torah. This is inside congregation, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, Javura Naharia. And more inside, and here was the menorah. Look at the candles, all of the different colors of the candles. Now, I told you that a cemetery was very important to them. This is the cemetery in Barranquilla, and you can see how old, very old. Okay, so you've got that. You can see where that is. Cemeteries were very important, that the Jews took care of their own and buried them with respect. So I found something very interesting. One of the members said, the first teaching that Judaism taught me is that it provided me with the importance of family and the importance of knowing Hashem and practicing Torah. Being part of a people and community are a style of life. And I thought a lot about that quote because that's who we are at Rodeph Sholom. We are part of a community. We may not be a large community, but we are close-knit, and being together is very important to us. So here we are on the corner of Park and Capitol Avenue in Bridgeport, Connecticut, with the same philosophy that the people in Colombia, South America, feel. I thought that was interesting. Ernesto Cortizo was the founder of the first airline in Colombia in 1919, and unfortunately died in one of the first plane crashes. Here is Ernesto. The airport, Cortizo International Airport, was named for him. There were some celebrities of Colombia. You might recognize some of the names. Shakira, Sofia Vergara, Gabriela Garcia Marquez. Now, when we had Rabbi Stephen Leon come and talk to us about the crypto Jews, I didn't know we were going to find them again. But the Jews of Colombia believe that they are the lost Jews and that they have now found their roots. They found similarities to their background and felt they were missing something until they found Judaism officially. This is the group, the Lost Jews of Colombia. So this is a Christian tradition, Day of the Little Candles. And the people who lit the candles began to realize that this was very similar, the candle lighting, that is, not the beliefs, but the candle lighting, to Hanukkah. So I thought it was worth it to show you a picture because I found it intriguing. Now, Hanukkah in Colombia is interesting because, like with us, our Jews like food, and everything seems to rotate around food. So in Bogota, they light candles and they eat fried foods. Okay, that's fine. Latkes. But in Santa Marta, they light candles and they eat fried plantains. Look at the two and see the similarity. They're both with a sour cream, both sort of kind of rounded. And so there are similarities. And I think that will take me to the end of Colombia. It was curious to me, and I don't know if you find it curious, that it tied in a lot of what Rabbi Stephen Leon talked about when he talked about the crypto Jews. These people were in hiding for so long, came from Europe, came from Africa, came from Asia, to find a place where they would be comfortable, where they could practice their religion without a problem. So I think that takes me to the end of Colombia. If you have any questions, I can try to answer. I have no guarantees.
Carol, in your research, did you find that maybe some might have been conversos that returned to Judaism?
Yes. Yes. There were so many in hiding. And that's what they found, Marcy, when they said, wait a minute, I've lit candles before, or I've eaten this kind of food before, and things began to come back to them as familiar, but they didn't know why. Thank you. Good question. Lana?
Just a question first. I've been to Colombia, actually. It's quite interesting. You had two slides. I noticed that the junior congregation had a very Latino faces. And whereas the other couple of pictures on the same page were not, they were very European. So they obviously had to be converts or mixed marriages or whatever. And you put up a slide about the first airline and the celebrities, but are they Jewish? Are you saying they're Jewish, or are you just linking them to Colombia as a country?
Colombia.
Right. So I just want to make sure that it's not misinterpreted.
No, Colombia. Yeah. Colombia. Thank
Carol?
you. Yes.
Go ahead, Lana.
Sorry about that. We've been going to Aruba every year for over 35 years or more. So the Venezuelan Jews used to come quite frequently to Aruba for, they're all like middle class professional entrepreneurs. But the last 10 years, because of persecution and everything, they don't let them out. It's in danger of, if they leave, they will confiscate everything and whatever, even during the vacation times. That's the way the government operates. Besides that, they have economic problems. So it is interesting that you mentioned there's a lot of past 10 years after the 90s, you see immigration from Venezuela, and actually Argentina also end up being in there. So thank you. I'm sorry.
Actually, no, I have a question for you. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Are the places that I showed that look beautiful, are they as beautiful as the pictures?
Yes.
Thank you. Rabbi,
you did a great job.
Thank you.
Carol, that was a great presentation. Thank you for being so thorough. I just have to comment that on our hearts have to go out to the Jews of Colombia, and especially now. Colombia has been very, very bad in its condemnation against Israel, along with a few other countries in Latin America, including Chile, Bolivia, Argentina. There were rumors actually that Colombia expelled, recalled the Israeli ambassador. Apparently those rumors were not true, but they were founded on truth. There were threats about it. And the president of Colombia has been very vocal in his condemnation against Israel's response to the attack by Hamas, while barely even talking about Hamas's atrocity. And in any kind of environment like that, the Jewish community becomes more vulnerable and more exposed and more threatened. Thank you.
Lana?
May I? Yeah. I don't exactly recall, but in the past few weeks, or Argentina, actually, the new president, I think, will be, or president to be announced that he's wants to move the to Jerusalem, the embassy to Jerusalem. And so that's one thing. And I know a lot of Jews from South America end up in a lot, but quite a few in Panama and Costa Rica.
Well, tomorrow we're going to hear from somebody who lives in Costa Rica. I can't guarantee what questions she can answer. They haven't been there that long. She's a cousin of mine. So we'll see what she has to say, which will be interesting. Do we have any other questions? Okay, then Rabbi Eisenberg, thank you so much for those words.
I hate to have to say it.
I know. I thought I was going to say, I'm not sure they made me happy, but thank you for sharing.
They are socialist leftist governments, just saying.
Right, so this is like the same as Jonathan's.
Lisa?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I have fairly close relatives who always lived, they left Hungary. And my mother's father brought his family to Bridgeport, but his sister went to Caracas. And they did very well there. They had a few kids, and then they had more, those kids had kids. And I spent a summer there with them in Caracas. And in the last, 20 years, it's been horrible for them. We saw the younger generation, college age, maybe 10, 15 years ago, and they said that they couldn't go to the grocery store because of fear of being kidnapped. And that wasn't only just Jews. They said, it could happen to anybody, but certainly the Jews were followed and dogged. And they said they were in their town, Caracas, they had a Jewish community center, and the government people just came in one day and said, everybody out, this is our building now. And eventually everybody, all my relatives from Caracas now mostly live in Panama.
This world is totally out of control. It just is not what we thought about or remembered, for sure. It's very sad.
Also, some of the
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I saw that. Okay, Judy, go ahead. Lana, I'll come back to you. Judy, you're muted. Wait, Judy, unmute. Okay.
On another topic, which I think is relevant just to bring up, the president of Penn resigned. And she, those of you who watched the hearings, she was atrocious. But she must have cut a deal with them, because she's going to continue until they find a successor, and they have no succession plan. And she's also going to be allowed to teach in the law school as a tenured professor. I find it appalling that she's not gone. That Penn, cut this deal with her. Very disappointing. And I don't know if this is going to now.
Are they still going to get the $100 million?
That has not been said. I think that's really questionable, because she should be gone. Basically, she's being allowed to stay there. She has influence on the law students, and she's still she's I guess the acting president. And Penn had said they didn't have a succession plan. That could take a long time to fill.
So, Judy, I appreciate your comments. I think we all do. We've all been disturbed, appalled, and any other word you can say. But I think maybe that is a discussion that we can have on another Zoom call that's not during Hanukkah around the world, if that's okay with everybody.
I just thought it kind of goes with everything else that's happening in other parts of the world.
Okay, thank you. Lana, you had another comment?
Just the last thing, I think in Colombia in the past few years got somewhat better because they cleaned up their act with the cartel, and now it's moved mainly to Mexico, but that's neither here nor there. That's nothing to do.
Well, like I said in there was a whole scandal with a rabbi over a conversion and taking the money and not carrying through. So, I guess you just have to be very careful what you do and who you're dealing with. So I would like to end on a high note because there's always something going on to keep us down. And I'm hoping that our pianist, our soloist, will come back because he needs to get double pay. And then we need to let Brian Bedford go home since he's standing alone in the chapel. Lanny, will you play one more for us?
One more.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, say shalom b'mromav. Uyaseh shalom aleinu. V'al kol Yisroel. V'imru, amen. Oh, say shalom b'mromav. Uyaseh shalom aleinu. V'al kol Yisroel. Amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, Ya'kol Yisroel. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, Ya'kol Yisroel. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu, Ya'kol Yisroel. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu, Ya'kol Yisroel. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom. Shalom aleinu, Ya'kol Yisroel.
Thank you so much. That's a great way for us to end the evening. Tomorrow night, we're going to Costa Rica. Now, the only thing I'm going to tell you is that I hope we all have power because I keep hearing about this bad storm and the potential for a loss of power. If I have power, I will be on. If you don't see me and you come on Zoom, you'll know that I don't. So let's just think positive and be prepared for another flexible night. So I thank you all for coming. Happy Hanukkah. Stay safe, be well, and we'll see you tomorrow in Costa Rica. Make sure you make that flight.
In case we can make it, we'll take a rain check.
Okay, fair enough.
Happy Hanukkah, thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank
Happy
you,
Hanukkah,
Brian.
everybody.
And thank you, Lanny.
Thanks,
And
Lanny.
Judy, we're gonna have another, I think, session 4 of Israel discussion. So for those who want to get into more current events of the United States, we are going to be having another session, maybe this week, the end of the week, when the other
When
rabbi
Lima
comes
gets
back
back.
from Israel.
Yeah.
So look at your email.
Yeah, that will
Thank-
be broader.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you.
Okay,
Great
thank you.
job. Thank you so much.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Thank you.
Carol.
Okay, good night.
Now I know the work that goes into it, the other end. Thank you.